relationship between creative industries and cultural industries. And this will be the part 3 of this week. First of all, we'll define the relationship between media industries and cultural industries. And here we will refer to our interview, which we did here in Moscow with our colleague Philippe Bouquillon, who is a professor in University Paris 13 North, so Paris Northern University, where Philippe Bouquillon was one of responsible of the laboratory for artistic creativity and cultural industries research. And in this interview, Philippe Bouquillon is pointing out his approach or his understanding of this distinction between cultural industries and creative industries. Hello.
Hello, Ilya.
My first question will be, what is the difference from the academic point of view between cultural industries and creative industries, in your opinion?
Oh, it's a very complicated questions. And the academics in France don't have the same point of view about these questions. For instance, Bernard Miège thinks that we should strictly separate cultural industries on the one hand and creative industries on the other hand. Because he thinks that cultural industries have something special connected to artistic works, and that the opposite, creative industries are more connected to the industrial world. For instance, gastronomy, design, fashion. So for him, there is two different types of industries. If you take Pierre Meuglin, he has a very different point of view. For Pierre Meuglin, cultural industries as part of a big industries that we can call creative industries or symbolic good industries. It means that all that industries are different, but they have some point in common. For instance, they all deal with creation, they all deal with symbolic value, they all try to improve the symbolic value of their product. They are all concerned by the question of intellectual property rights. So Pierre Meuglin is more interested in looking at the tendencies, how some industries try to improve the symbolic value of their production. So for him, there is no two different industries. Cultural industries are part of a bigger set of industries.
Thank you. Another question, you spoke about some common things between cultural industries and creative industries. So could you please develop this issue, especially what kind of common things, especially in field of valorization, in field of economy, in other peculiarities, are really common between cultural industries and creative industries?
Before answering to this question, we should notice that if you consider only cultural industries, the way of valorization, for instance, may be very different between music or movie or theater, whatever you want. So we have to face here a very different type of activities. But I think that there are maybe three main characteristics in common. The first is that they deal with creation. It means that when you produce a movie or a fashion or design, you have to incorporate creation work in the products. And managing creation is something very complicated that all the theories about cultural creative industries deal with, how to manage creation. And the value of the product rely on creation. This product has a value because it is a product with creation. That is the first point. The second point, the second question is, do we face a prototype economy or not? Some of these industries are prototype economy and some are not. And this is very important because when you look at the cost, when you are in a prototype economy, for instance, for films, the costs are very high, and if your product is a failure, you can't get your money back. So this is a very important question. The third one is about intellectual property right. What are the type of right? Is it possible to apply intellectual property right? And we know that in most of that field, in fashion, for instance, the industrial would like to be protected as well as the cultural industries.
Okay. Thank you. Another question is, actually we are confronted with a lot of so-called public policies in improving creative industries, or public policies in developing so-called creative clusters, especially once we hear this idea of creative cluster. It's mainly linked with a policy in the city, and we'll say some kind of architectural or another activity in the city, the city policy, the policy of the city. What do you think about it?
If I take the French example, we can see that the notion of creative industries and all the issue about creative industries arrived in France by this point. Creative city. And it was not the state, it was not the government which decided to introduce the notion of creative industries, but it was local authorities. And the local authorities wanted to develop creative cities. With success or failure, it's a question that we could debate for a long time. But really, a little like in England or in Scotland, in the old industrial places, the local authorities wanted to improve the city, to bring a new population, to sometimes, of course, to gentrify this place. And the government, and especially the Ministry of Culture, was really opposed to the notion of creative industries. And still now we can say this, especially for the Ministry of Culture. The Ministry of Culture, before the beginning of this decade, never speak about creative industries. For the French Ministry of Culture, creative industry did not exist. Because they thought that if we introduce in France or in the international organization like UNESCO the notion of creative industry, it will be dangerous for the cultural exception. Because if you consider that fashion, gastronomy, or design is culture, you can say that all that activities have to be protected against international competition. So in that situation, cultural exception would disappear. So there is a big contradiction between creative industries on the one hand and cultural exception on the second hand. So the French Ministry of Culture has developed many strategies to avoid this notion to be introduced in the policy of the European Union or in the UNESCO, and of course in the policy of the French government. But actually, they fail. Of course. And even in France, for instance, the French Ministry of Economy now is very interested in creative industries. 4 years ago, statistics have been published that shows that creative industries in France are the most important industrial sector with agriculture. So, of course, the Ministry of Culture didn't like the statistics, but you know, there is a sort of a fight between the two ministries.
cultural industry and creative industries, the so-called model of concentric circles, which has been invented by Trosby and then developed by some other analysts. So the core concept is very simple, is the idea that the cultural industries could be organized under the principle of this, we'll say, concentric circles. The central core circle, it's what we call core cultural expression. Core cultural expression is the music, is the text, is the visual, for example, paintings, etc. Then we have deal with other core creative industries, wider cultural industries, and related industries. Other core creative industries means that our basic core cultural expressions are, we'll say, extended to particular parts of industries, industrialization, such as photo industry, for example. Then we have deal with wider cultural industries, such as audiovisual, movie industry, and related industries, which are not included in but related with, could be considered as the related industries in field of particular design or architecture, etc. So, core cultural expression is the literature, music, performing arts, and visual arts. Other core creative industries, it's a film, galleries, museum, libraries, and photography. Wider cultural industries is a recorded music, television, radio, publishing, and print media heritage. And related industries is advertising, architecture, design, fashion. This model of concentric circles has been developed by Walk Foundation model, which proposed this idea of the creative industries, which are trying to establish this core creative field, cultural industries, creative industries and activities, and the rest of the economy. So, core creative fields is the commercial outputs possessing a high degree of expressive value and invoke copyright protection. The cultural industries, it's activity involving mass reproduction of expressive outputs based on copyrights. It means that in the first case, we have deal with non-reproducible. It could be arts, for example. In the second case, we have deal with the industries, with the mass-reproduced fields, such as and based on copyrights. Creative industries and activities are based on the use of expressive value, which is essential in the performance of this sector. And it could be sector which are based on other fields, but the expressive value is very important for them. It could be, for example, the design, where the expressive value is very important. And the remaining part of the economy, the rest of the economy, it's what we call another sectors. It's the manufacturing services which could exploit expressive outputs generated by creative industries, which could exploit design. For example, the automobile manufacturer could exploit a particular design. Building industry could exploit a particular design. The, we'll say, fashion in the industry of clothes could exploit a particular fashion or design of the outwear, for example. So it means that in this case we have deal with also a kind of concentric circle model where one activity is placed inside other activities, etc., etc. Now let's define main features of the cultural industries not compatible with creative industries. What doesn't work in creative industries, which is working generally in cultural industries? First problem is the problem of the nature of product. What is symbolic good? What symbolic good is? So the creativity in creative industries such as design, architecture, etc. cannot be comparable with creativity inside cultural products, where such creativity represents an essence of the product value. It means that in design, in architecture, etc., the part of this design or part of this architecture or part of this fashion inside, we'll say, the demand on the final product, such as developing projects in building industry or project of inside industrial design, etc., this, we'll say, symbolic value will be less important than in field of, we'll say, cultural industries, where the value of the product is completely based on this creativity, on this artistic creativity. So at the same time, the conceptualization of the product in creative industries and cultural industries works according to the same logics. It means that in creative industries and in cultural industries, we have to deal with the local craft-based teams. So local, very compact teams are working on the concept. Local teams of designers are working on the concept. They're very compact teams. Very compact teams are working on the idea of film, of course, in cultural industries. But the valorization is completely different, because in creative industries, this symbolic valorization will bring inside another, more larger valorization of the final product, where another, well, say, consuming options, another consuming values will be important. So you are buying the car not only for design of this car, you are buying this car also for particular technical characteristic of this car, the power of this car, the speed you can obtain, the characteristic of the transmission of this car, etc., etc. So you finally have a very large number of settings or parameters inside your choice. But in cultural industries, the value of the product is entirely equal to the artistic creativity, and this is probably the main difference between them. Another problem is the problem of the type of production, collective production or individual production, because in creative products are less personalized and less protected by author's right than by trademarks rights, for example. It means that sometimes you don't know even who is elaborated a particular design. For example, in architecture it works sometimes. The concept of these stars could work. You know a kind of stars architecture who became stars in the world, which are very known for their projects. But in general, a lot of creative products has no names. So they are created and they are protected not by author's right, but by trademarks. In some creative products are collective and cannot be strongly associated with particular personality, which is a difference from cultural industries, because in cultural industries we have deal with the artist. Artists could be interpretation or presentation. Yeah, the artist could interpret or present, and in this case, the star will be different. The star actor is a star in field of movie. This is mainly the star who is presenting. Yeah. Or in case of book, star is someone who is interpreting. So in architecture, yes, the concept of the product could be presented and could be personalized, and even starization also could be present. So particular architectures could be a star, so consider it as a stars. But in a lot of other creative products, we can't observe the same. Another problem is the problem of reproducibility. Because mainly semi-reproducible goods are present in creative industries. we have deal with not massive production. For example, in field of architecture or fashion. In field of architecture, we have deal with different projects which are proposed, which are elaborated by architectures, by architectural bureaus, and then these architectural projects from creative fields are entering inside manufacturing field, the construction, and here the cycle of reproduction, the cycle of building will be launched. So this is a two separate field. The building is not considered as a creative field or creative industry, but architecture is, which means that we can't consider the reproducibility of these creative forms outside these creative fields as a particular form of creativity. Is a separate product, is a separate value. It means that finally architecture, fashion, etc. have deal with semi-reproducible goods, goods which are more or less individual. They are not massively reproduced inside the creative field, which means that creative fields are mainly based on the production of concepts or ideas than on production of reproducible goods. Otherwise, it's the cultural industries, where inside cultural industries, the notion of reproducibility refers to the massive reproduction of the symbolic forms from the zero copy.